Hey, what's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to this week's show. It is super late, and we are in full off-season form because it's midnight.
Right?
It's midnight on the East Coast where I'm at. It's Friday, June 28th, 2019. If you're a regular listener of the show, you know things are about to get fucking crazy because it's the two Kyles running the ship right now, and it's going to be weird. We just said it before we went live just now. Let's get weird on the show. So I'm going to make it really weird to start. I'm Kyle Smith. This is Kyle West here.
Heyo.
This is episode number 353 of the Purple Peel podcast, and this one's called Hit Me Beebe One More Time.
Oh man, Smith. You can tell when we've been left in charge of everything because we picked the stupidest shit for the show titles. When it's just you and I, it's like, yeah, let's go for the Britney Spears joke. Like, let's just do it.
It was that or You'll Always Be My Beebe. And I wanted to hit it because every time I think of Britney Spears, I think of Michael Scott from The Office pulling up with his glasses on, and he's like, "It's Britney, bitch."
Awesome. Hey, I got my friend Amelia with me in the chat room. It's so awesome that you were fucking joining the podcast with us. So that's really super cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate all you dedicated people that come through. You know, we don't have thousands of people that join the show, but we have a handful that we can usually count on.
Right.
I know it's late, but we have to get a show out this week. I've been traveling. It's a cool day for me. I'm at my parents' home where I grew up in North Carolina. My son is here for the first time ever. He's sleeping right now, so if you hear me being a little quiet, now you know why. But it's a good week, and it's an even better time to talk about the Vikings. We've got a very limited, sort of short show this week.
It's an off-season show for sure. Like, if there's ever a definitive off-season show, it's the one where we talk about Christian Ponder, like, right off the bat.
Yeah, this is really, really sad. Actually, speaking of them, I wanted to track them down because I was in New York looking for apartments and whatnot last week. And I looked through where Sam had been checking in at. I was only like 4 blocks away from where they live, which is crazy. Would love to have bumped into them and gotten a photo, but that's just going to happen by chance. But I'm only going to be living an hour away from them, so I'm going to make this a point. I'm going to buy a Christian Ponder Vikings picture. Whenever I go to the city, I'm going to keep it on me, and I'm going to go find them and get them to autograph it and take a photo. It's going to happen. You can wish it, will it to happen. Before we get started on the quick hits, I just want to give a shout out. I found this page on Instagram. I love Instagram. I'm on it every day. Called the House of Hoodies. They've got some, I think this is hockey style hoodies here. So I have a Stephon Diggs one.
It's definitely hockey. It's a hockey themed Minnesota Vikings jersey with the long sleeves. It's really badass, dude.
These things are pretty sweet. It's really comfortable. The stitching in the front is really professional. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So I want to give them a shout out. I bought this. I have a Thielen jersey, so I needed to buy something with Diggs on it. And yeah, go check them out. They have all kinds of sports on there as well. But let's talk about Christian Ponder to start. Hey, man. Christian Ponder was named one of the biggest draft busts from 2011. Was this on ESPN? Do you remember where this came from?
I don't remember what list it was.
I've got it. I'll look it up.
Check it out. I think I probably pulled it from a Vikings Age article. That would be my guess. But yeah, Christian Ponder named one of the biggest draft busts of 2011. We all know this. We lived through this shit, and it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Ooh, by the one and only Adam Patrick. I like his stuff on that page.
Yeah.
The Viking Age is where you can find our Adam Carlson. He writes a lot of good stuff from there. He's a main contributor, but Adam Patrick's a good guy too. Yeah, this was a total reach. We've beat this guy into the ground so much. I feel bad about it. First of all, let's just can we off the top of our heads between you and I think of any Florida State quarterback that's ever been successful? Because I thought about this earlier today. I can't think of one.
No.
No, they're just not a quarterback school. That was the same year that J.J. Watt came out. He was 2 picks ahead of him, I believe. Ponder was at 12. J.J. Watt was at 10. So we actually had a realistic shot to jump up and get J.J. Watt. Could you fucking imagine, guys, Jared Allen across from J.J. Watt on both sides of the defensive line?
That hurts my soul.
It
That
does.
we could
Yeah.
that we could have had J.J. Watt, and we're like, nah, man.
Realistically, and you know how Rick Spielman is. He likes to jump up and trade around. That could have happened had we went for it. Yeah, Ponder is one of the biggest draft busts in this franchise, but in particular's history. But I will say it's got to be. I don't think that it could be anything else, man. The favorite memory which we have here is a question. What was your favorite Christian Ponder
Yeah,
memory?
I put that in to be a smartass.
It's got to be the game because I was deployed when I watched this, the season when Adrian Peterson won the MVP and rushed for 2,000 yards. Ponder played the game of his fucking life to get us into the playoffs that year. And 3 touchdowns, no picks, 300+ yards. I mean, the one touchdown he threw to Michael Jenkins was a laser. I couldn't believe that he caught it. That's my favorite one because it's a win. Those were very rare in the Christian Ponder era.
Mhm.
I think we started out the first season there. I think when he came in was 3-13. We had the 10-6 year the next year, and then after that, it was just a series of mediocre at best. It was awful.
If I remember correctly, that was the game where Ponder got injured, and then the following week it was Joe Webb.
That's right.
Oh, that hurts. Why are we talking about this, man?
You put this in the notes, man. We did. And you know what the fucked up part of that game was? Sorry, I'm swearing so much, guys. I should probably tone that back a little bit. We had this formula, right? We had this formula: feed the ball to Adrian. I've seen it a million times, and I always reference this. For that particular year, they had Jay Cutler on the bench in Chicago, and he's like, "Man, if that guy was on my team, I'd hand him the ball 40 times a game." And I laugh because he's right, and it's Jay Cutler. But we had this plan of feed Adrian, feed Adrian, feed it. You can stack 8 in the box. It doesn't matter. He's going to get us a first down, or he's going to get it. I think he averaged 3.4 yards per carry that between those 3 years that he was just running over everyone. So he's going to get you a first down eventually.
Well, hey, I have a quick hit about Adrian coming up here in a minute that fits exactly with what you just said.
So that's the point right there.
Yeah.
That right there was a game plan. But Joe Webb added another element, if you guys remember. He was very, very much a work in progress in the passing game, but he was such a dual threat. Remember we went to Philly on a Tuesday night football game, and he pretty much single-handedly won us the game, which was weird. But that whole game in the playoffs after Ponder played the game of his life, they tried to get Joe Webb to stay in the pocket and pass, and I'm just
which was the dumbest shit.
Screaming at the television, let him run! What are you guys doing? Because that was a game in Minnesota the week before, week 17. And then the next week it was in Green Bay. It's Green Bay in the playoffs, man. You got to bring your A game. So if you wanted to be sad and frustrated to start the show, you've come to the right place.
There you go. David Bidet in the chat says, I still have my Donovan McNabb jersey. So,
oh, God. I'm so sorry.
Here you go. We can actually transition pretty well. I'm going to steal the next quick hit from you.
Do it.
Into more former Vikings quarterback talk. Teddy Bridgewater, who we all loved. I still love Teddy. You still love Teddy, don't you?
I sure do.
I definitely do. He explained his decision to stick around with the Saints. I got a quote from him, and then I wanted to talk very briefly about Teddy Bridgewater. He said, as a competitor, you want to be out there and you want to be starting and competing. But I just sat back and weighed my options and thought about what would be best for me. This is an opportunity for me to grow, continue to learn, and expand my mental capacity as a football player. So that is kind of the very politically correct answer that Teddy gave about why he's sticking with the New Orleans Saints. If you know anything at all about Teddy, that's exactly kind of what you would expect him to say. I was surprised. I thought that he was going to chase that opportunity to compete. We had talked about potentially him going to like somewhere like Miami to compete for that starting spot. It didn't happen. He stuck around in New Orleans. So he must really feel comfortable, in my opinion, with Sean Payton as a head coach. And also thinking that Drew Brees maybe only has a season or two left before he retires. And then maybe Teddy feels like he has the opportunity to compete after Drew Brees is done. I still hate the fucking Saints. Screw them. So I hate to see one of my favorite former players, Teddy Bridgewater, out there in New Orleans. So that stuck. That sucks. That's still a little hard pill to swallow. But I still wish Teddy the best of luck. I want to see this kid succeed so bad. Don't you?
Oh yeah, dude. 2 points on what you're saying. I'm totally on the Teddy Bridgewater train because he's such a
Yeah.
good kid. I don't know if this person was trolling on Facebook, but on the Viking Age, somebody said that Ponder was way better than Bridgewater, and I just laughed. I was like, Ponder maybe was in the league 4 or 5 years. He couldn't, by the end of it, he couldn't even be a third stringer for the friggin' Raiders and the 49ers. And Bridgewater's leg was pretty much torn in half, and they picked him to be Drew Brees' successor, or at least his backup at the moment. So they should tell you how much different they are. But not even that. Let's talk about the draft again. Ponder was drafted in 2011. Bridgewater was drafted in 2014, 3 years later in the first round. I'm just saying, he might not have been as high a draft pick as Ponder, but Ponder was way overdrafted. But anyways, thinking about Teddy, it's interesting that he stayed in New Orleans because I believe, truthfully, we find things out at the very, very end of the line when it comes to rumors or speculation or inside knowledge. Stuff gets out when it needs to be let out and when people want to let it out. I'm sure somewhere along the line, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Teddy Bridgewater heard Miami's probably going after Josh Rosen. Also, I play in the same division as the Patriots. Also, Miami has sucked a bag of dicks for like the last 25. So why would I not just sit over here, get this guaranteed money, learn from one of the top 10 quarterbacks ever, and then Sean Payton's not going anywhere. He's going to be the coach. They're going to have great everything. I mean, it just makes more sense to stay there, in my opinion. I think he probably knew, even though Miami's home, you got to look at the surroundings. Man, that division is the Patriots until they decide to leave, and that team sucked for a long, long time. So I hate the Saints as much as you do, but I'm going to root for Teddy until he retires.
Yeah, that's what Jason Tavati in the chat says. He says Teddy made the right choice to stay, and that's I agree. I still hate seeing him in New Orleans, but I think it probably is the best choice for him.
I'd rather see him in New Orleans than with the New York Jets, too. Remember that little 2-month period he was there? He had a great preseason
Oh
game.
man, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. He was with the
He looked
Jets.
good in those preseason games, and the Saints were like, no, we're going to snatch this kid up.
I would hate to see Teddy put in a terrible position where he's just on an awful team and he just has no shot. Like, I don't want to see him in, I don't know, Arizona. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see him have at least some pieces. Go somewhere where they have like a blue chip defensive player, a blue chip skill position player, and the O line is not complete shit. Just to give him some kind of a fighting chance. But yeah,
Jason in the chat really quick wants to know if he thinks there's any truth to the Sean Payton to the Dallas Cowboys rumor that kicks up in the rumor mill during the offseason. This has been talked about a little bit, and not just with Dallas. You heard him, I think, linked to Miami at one point, if I remember correctly. There's been a little bit of trade talk about Sean Payton. No, I do not believe one bit that he is going to be traded or leave New Orleans to go anywhere. I don't see that happening. Not unless they fire him, which they would be stupid. They'd be stupid to fire him.
He and Drew Brees are legends in New Orleans. I don't think they're going to. But speaking of the Cowboys, they run a very bland offense. It's not that interesting. Ezekiel Elliott is phenomenal. Amari Cooper is a perfect fit there. They're going to overpay Dak, but they don't really have a choice. My opinion is Sean Payton's not going to go there, but old 8-8 hand clapping coach Jason Garrett, kick his ass out of there. Find somebody else. Find somebody who's going to make the Cowboys, because I hate to say this, but when the Cowboys are good, the NFL is good. It's just like when the Lakers are good in the NBA. You need them to be good because you need someone to hate. And, hey, they won their division last year. They won a playoff game. It was nice. But that coach is just he's just Jerry Jones' little puppet. I'm ready for him to leave. I'm ready for someone to get in there to be, I don't know, just to be ruthless. You know what I mean? Fuck the Cowboys.
David wants, yeah, right. Fuck the Cowboys. David wants to know if we think Teddy will be a starter on some other team. I think he has all the potential to go in and be a really strong backup that will compete for that starting position. I love Teddy Bridgewater. Is it unfair to say, and I don't mean in like physical skill set here, but I mean he's kind of like a Tyrod Taylor. You know how Tyrod Taylor is really good in spurts, but I don't know if you want Tyrod as your starter all the time. I kind of feel like that's Teddy. Am I stupid for saying that, Smith?
Here's what I know you're not. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the same as he was in that last preseason game before he tore his knee.
Before he got injured.
He was on the absolute steady, fast incline. I don't think he's the same guy. The Panthers played the Saints week 17 last year, and the Saints were already the number 1 seed, so they let him play. They got the shit beat out of him. And I don't know why. And that was a lot of backups for both teams because Cam was nursing a shoulder he hadn't played in a couple weeks, and it was a shit show. I do think, I think Tyrod's a pretty good little. This might piss some people off. Hear me out. This just popped into my brain, and I'm thinking through quarterbacks through the NFL because he's a top 32 guy, but he's the bottom, 7 or 8, in my opinion. Teddy Bridgewater at his ceiling, I think he could be as good as Case Keenum was for us the miracle year. That's who I compare him to. I don't think that he's going to start and have some miraculous turnaround for somewhere, but if he has the right pieces and a really good coach, I could see him being 11-5 like he did with Zimmer and taking a team to the playoffs. And you go from there, but I don't think he's the same after his leg fell apart.
David wants to know how old Teddy is, so I just looked it up on the old Google machine that I carry around in my pocket, and it says that he is 26 years old.
Yeah, he's still got plenty of time.
He's still got plenty of time left.
Yeah, he's still got 5, 6, 7 more years of his prime. Who knows? I think, like I said, I don't think he's the same after the knee injury. I do see him for now as like a Case Keenum type in a good situation. Hey, it could take you to the promised land. Everything lines up right, but I don't know, man. He seems a little bit more timid. And I know he looked good with the Jets. That's why he got traded to the Saints in preseason, but that's the preseason. I want to see him get, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I don't want him to get injured, but I want to see him get knocked around and then get up. Remember the Rams game when he got knocked the fuck out and then he came
yeah, I think it was brutal.
Yeah, like I want to see him get hit a little bit and then get up and then lead a drive down to score a touchdown. Then I'd feel more good about him. But either way, I don't give a shit. Even when he came back 2 years ago and he threw an interception on his first pass, I didn't give a damn because I just wanted to see him on the field.
Right.
So
we can move on here, but really quick, this is a good comparison. Jason in the chat said that his ceiling was like Alex Smith pre-injury. And I think that that's a good comparison. Is like before the injury, he was like best case scenario Alex Smith. That's an awesome point. And now you're right. You don't know. You don't really know 3 years out from his knee injury.
Yeah, I'd heard the Alex Smith comparison before, but Alex Smith's a pretty good quarterback, so that's not as bad as it seems at first. Poor Alex Smith. He's probably never going to play football again. That sucks.
He says on Twitter that he's going to. But...
Yeah, I'm sure he thinks he is.
Yeah.
So we talked about Pete earlier.
I love this next quick hit.
Do you want to steal it, or would you like me to go ahead?
I don't care. Pro Football Focus did a list that I think is really cool. It is like the best 3-year stretch statistically for a player at their given position. So like over the past, who was the best player during a 3-year period of time at quarterback, running back, whatever. And so Adrian Peterson, no surprise, during the 2010 through 2012 season was the top running back, which should not surprise anyone. This dude's going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
If there's a question about that, what sport have you been watching? They say, I got a little quote here from the the monkeys at Pro Football Focus. I shouldn't call them monkeys, but a reign that ended in MVP honors in 2012. Adrian Peterson's 3-year stretch as a runner from 2010 to 2012 is unlikely to ever be seen again. He earned overall grades of 86.5, 83.7, and 92.4 during that span. He led the league in yards after contact and yards after contact per attempt over that span. So that's Adrian, his MVP, his best form. In an era where you throw the football and you don't give a shit about running backs, he was by far the best at his position.
I want to give a little bit of perspective on this because it's incredible. All right. So this is 2010, 11, and 12. Dude, 2010, 1298, 12 touchdowns, 4.6 average. 2011, towards ACL right at the end of the year, didn't get 1,000 yards, 970 yards, 4.7 on the average, 0.1 higher, same number of touchdowns, 12. Of course, 2012, 2,097 yards, 6 average, and 12 touchdowns. Let's just put that into comparison. In 3 seasons, the kid had 4,277 yards, and one of those, he didn't even rush for 1,000 yards. What? So when you average that out and divide 4,277 by 3, that's him averaging 1,425.6 yards per season. That is
right.
That's crazy. That's the kind of stuff right now that a running back would go to his agent and tell the team, he'd be like, so you can go ahead and back up the Brinks truck for me because I've got 1,400 yards 3 years in a row. Yeah, you can go ahead and pay me all the money. That's nuts, man. Especially for one of those years where he almost but didn't break 1,000 yards. That dude made history. Do you remember, since we're talking about Pro Football Focus and this whole thing, do you remember who the quarterback that won that from? I'm really curious who the quarterback.
No, I did not have that information pulled up.
Okay, I'm going to try to look it up because I think about Favre winning the MVP 3 years in a row, and I'd be remiss if he wasn't at least in the conversation for that.
Right? I was just curious really quick. I'm also trying to Google because that's what we do. 2012, who else was on the 2012 Minnesota Vikings roster? Because I'm just curious.
And for the running backs?
Just like offensive weapons. So you had like wide receiver.
You had Percy Harvin. I don't think Sidney Rice was still there.
Okay, I got it right in front of me. Stephen Burton. Oh boy. Percy Harvin, Michael Jenkins. Who else is here? Jerome Simpson and Jarius Wright was your receiving core around Adrian Peterson when he earned the 92.4 overall grade in 2012. So where I'm going with that one is Adrian was the Vikings offense.
Yeah, there was no disputing that he literally was. And that's still one of the, I can tell my son when he gets older, hey, man, I watched Tom Brady when I was growing up. That's crazy because he was so good. I could talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and all these, and Tiger Woods. But when it comes to football, I'm like, okay, cool. What was the cool thing that you saw in football or with the Vikings? Dude, everybody knew who was getting the ball, and he still managed to run everybody over and draft people and just somehow keep them in the game every game for almost, 10 years? I mean,
right? Holy shit. Look at this stat. This is from 2012. So Christian Ponder, to shit on him again, threw for 2,935 yards total. That's what Ponder threw for. Adrian Peterson rushed for 2,097 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know.
Yeah, he rushed for almost as much as what Christian Ponder threw for in an era where you just throw the ball. And you just throw the ball, and the referees are like, yeah, pass interference. That counts.
That's so crazy, man. That's a good stat. That's my favorite new stat.
Oh, boy.
All
That
right.
hurts.
Yeah, last quick hit of the night. Pro Football Focus writer Ben Lindsay recently picked out the team killers for each NFL team, and he went with Viking safety Harrison Smith as Green Bay's biggest nemesis. Lindsay's criteria for being a team killer include playing a minimum of 300 snaps against a given team, and picked up the highest overall grade in the PFF era, 2006 to present. Pro Football Focus has given Smith an overall grade of 90.0 in
Whew.
12 career games against the Packers. He's been one of the best safeties in the league, Lindsay says, since being drafted in 2012. He has been the best defender in the league against Rodgers and the Packers offense. He has a run defense grade of 90.1 and a coverage grade of 85.7. And this is over 868 snaps versus Green Bay in all those games. In coverage, Smith has allowed a passer rating of 71.5 behind a league high 5 interceptions. Holy shit.
So this is awesome because we talk all the time about how I think you and I are on the same page with this one. That Harrison Smith is probably by far, and we've got a really good defense, but I think is by far the best defensive player on this team. And that's including some really great defensive pieces around him, players around him.
Mhm.
He is still that damn good. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at what was that? An overall grade of 90,
90.0.
90.0 in 12 games against the Packers. The Packers, say what you will about Green Bay, but that includes playing at home on the frozen tundra field of Lambeau
So
Field.
let
Like,
me, let me look at this real quick too, because when was he drafted again? It says over here 2012. So NFC North winners. So I'm going to go through this since he's been in since he got drafted.
well, you're looking that up. I'm just going to continue talking about Harrison, who I think is just. We talk about Adrian Peterson being another Hall of Fame bound player. I seriously think that if Harrison Smith finishes his career the way he's been playing so far, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't, you're looking at another player on this defense who is bound for the Hall of Fame. He is just a phenomenal player for the Minnesota Vikings. And you look at him and you go, if he was on a larger market team, if he was on the Patriots or one of the bigger teams, he would be. You couldn't get ESPN to shut up about him. But because he's on Minnesota, I don't feel like he gets his fair shake in the media. I really don't. Do you?
No, you're 100% right. Now the part I won't say that I counter this with, but the part that I like to give you credit on the opposite side is the players always give him respect.
Oh, definitely.
But you're right because of the market that we're in. It's just like, oh, okay, so the Vikings are playing. How did Adrian Peterson do? That's it. That's all people asked for 10
Yep.
years. So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if he was in Dallas or if he was in Philly or New England, like you said, yeah, he'd be a way bigger topic. But he was stuck up in Minnesota. Nobody ever talks about Minnesota. So
That's okay. That's what we're here for. That's why we do this podcast.
that's right. So back to Harrison Smith before we get into the main topic. So he was drafted in 2012. Let me just run this by you guys and let you understand. So division winners. Here we go. 2012 Green Bay Packers. They beat the Vikings in the playoffs and lost to the 49ers. 2013, 8-7-1. The Green Bay Packers lost in the wild card round to the 49ers. 2014, the Green Bay Packers beat the Cowboys, and that wasn't a catch, and lost in overtime at Seattle. 2015, 11-5 Minnesota Vikings, wide left, lost to the Seahawks.
Oh, you've had to say it like that, didn't you?
Yep. 2016, the Green Bay Packers, 10-6, won the wild card game at the Giants, lost, won divisionals. Oh, this is so good too. They beat the Cowboys in the divisional round, and then they lost. They got the shit beat out of them by the Falcons. That was the 28-3 year where New England came back. We almost got to see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. Almost. And then the last 2 years, we obviously went 13-3 in 2017, and then the Bears. So you're looking at that from the time that he's been in the league, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. We've only won the division twice.
Yeah,
5 times there have been a different division winner. And of those, 1, 2, 3, 3 of those. No, 4 of those. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 7. So the majority of the time, it's Green Bay winning, and he's still the shit against that team. Harrison Smith is without a doubt the best defender on the team. Man, when he leaves, I don't even want to think about it. When he gets too old or he starts going downhill, thank God he's still playing at a high level. And I have to look it up, man. I got to figure out how old he is too, because I think he's either 30 or 31. So he's still in his prime, but man, that guy's he's something else, man. He's one of the best safeties I've ever watched play, and I love the guy.
Well, what was that? Last season, he had like the highest grade that Pro Football Focus had ever given out to a player.
Yeah, not this past year, not our Kirk Cousins year, but the year before. Yes,
It was the year before. Okay.
Yep, I'm pretty positive because the defense was just that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was born February 2nd in 1989. So he is
Younger than I am.
He's 30. Yeah, he's 30. So he'll be 31 this coming February. So after the season, he'll be 31. So he's still right in the prime of his career.
Isn't that crazy that we've reached a point, at least I have, I don't know about you, but where it's like players who are old in the NFL are younger than I am?
Yeah, I don't like thinking about it because it just makes me feel like shit.
It's depressing. Let's not
Like
talk about that.
we were just talking before, for you guys that are listening to the show, we were just talking about Patrick Mahomes before we got started. I don't even want to think he's at least 5 to 6 years younger than me. And it just pisses me off. It's like, what? He's a grown ass man out there making grown ass football plays. He's like 24. Okay.
If even that, he's probably younger than 24.
Yeah, probably. All right.
Well, let's
just do this thing. I don't even know where to begin with this main topic.
Let's do social media first, and then we'll just kind of figure out what we want to talk about from there.
Okay.
We'll tie it into the wide receivers. So I wanted to make a really difficult question for you guys this week. So I took 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers and 2 of our favorite current wide receivers who were also pretty damn good, and was like, hey, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. You can only keep 3 of them. You guys got to cut someone.
Yeah, you're a dick for that.
I know, right? Because you don't want to cut any of them, but you got to cut one of them. Who is it going to be and why? Because I was really curious to see who you guys would pick. And so I'm going to go through. We got a lot of responses for this one. So I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment and to interact with it, because that's the whole reason that we do this. That's why we call it social media.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's my favorite one. Wow, this question sucks. Chris Carter, Moss, and Thielen, I guess. So I like that one quite a bit. Carter, Moss, and Diggs. Cut Diggs. The other 3 either produced consistently or are named Randy Moss. So there you go. Moss and Carter, no brains, and probably Thielen. Diggs is odd man out with injury concerns. That was one that we got a lot of. Dan Knutson also said Diggs just off injury history. I hate to say it. This is from Scott Schwab, who is a regular with us in the chat room. Scott says, I hate to say it, but I would cut Diggs. Moss and Carter are both Hall of Fame wide receivers. Adam Thielen has proven to stay healthy and is very consistent. Diggs is a pro's pro in every respect, but he has not been able to trust him to stay healthy. That seems to be the deciding factor as to why people want to cut Stephon Diggs, is because he does have a little bit of the injury history. Moss Carter, this is from Lawrence Tucker, who says Moss Carter and Diggs, assuming we are talking like fully healthy and just based on skill set. He says, I like number 19 a lot, but fully healthy, I want Diggs's skill set to go with everything that Moss and Carter bring to the field. So I like this a lot. He's like looking at it from like a football perspective about how they fit together. The reality of the situation is you could flip a coin on either Diggs or Thielen to go, because you got to keep Moss and Carter, and there isn't really a wrong answer. So I like that one quite a bit. I like that answer from Lawrence because, like I said, he tried to kind of look at it from like how would these players work together on the field.
I'll tell you why I'm going with Adam Thielen over Diggs. It's not the injury concern. And I'm wearing a Diggs shirt, so don't fucking come at me like I'm not a Stephon Diggs fan. Anybody out there, fuck you. I love Stephon Diggs. I love his attitude and everything about him, and his swagger is my favorite part. I've seen Thielen block and return a punt. I've seen Thielen on special teams. Most of all, I've seen him go from the practice squad and undrafted all the way to holy shit. He had 8 games in a row where he had more than 100 yards. The dude catches everything. He's not going to blow you away with Randy Moss like athletics, but imagine he's the white Chris Carter that we have now. He catches everything. And if I'm going to have somebody slinging the ball to him, that's the other good question we should have asked. Now that we've decided the majority is Moss, Carter, and Thielen, who's throwing them the ball? Does it really matter? Because those 3, it really doesn't fucking matter. They're going to be open. At least one of them's always going to be open. And the other
Randy doesn't have to be open.
Yeah. So that was the other major question, but we won't dive down that rabbit hole. That was my first thing, and I think Adam asked it in the chat was, who's throwing the football?
Yeah, because of course Adam would be the one to, on a
of
bullshit made up question. Adam would be the one to find rules to it because that's just Adam.
He does that. Well, that's a good transition. Thank you to everybody that interacted. Yeah. That's a good question for you.
Really quick. My answer, I kind of got to go with what the rest of the group says because I want Moss and Thielen on the outside with Chris Carter working the middle of the field. I think that's just a hell of a combination. And Diggs, you could probably flip a coin with either him or Thielen as to who you're going to keep and who you're going to cut. But I don't know. I really like Adam Thielen. I really like Stephon Diggs. That's a tough question. That's the whole reason is that you hate to throw any of them out.
I got a flip question to this.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask yours so I can turn around and ask mine. So you're talking about these guys in their prime, right?
Oh,
all
of course.
4 of these guys.
Of course.
Okay, so right now, if we have to take them at their age currently, same question. I'm taking Randy Moss with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Have you seen the guy? Dude, he can still play.
So current aged players. Well, then you got to keep Thielen and Diggs. How old's Chris Carter? He's got to be older than Moss by a long shot. Not a long shot, but enough to where.
Older, but I see Chris in a lot of tuxedos on First Take and ESPN. I still see Randy Moss out there working out like a freak. So that's another one. Just
I gotta know how old Randy Moss is, because obviously it's Randy.
I had a feeling we'd go with Randy regardless. I can't tell if you like that guy or not.
Just a little bit. He's 42 years old. You give me a 42-year-old Randy Moss in the back of the end zone, the back corner of the end zone, double covered. He's still going to come down with that fucking football.
I think so.
Yeah, I believe it. He could do it.
So. I'd put some money down on that.
He could do it.
This is a perfect transition. I feel like a dick for earlier, so I have to call myself out. I'm always trying to get better at this little thing that we've been doing for 5 years. Well, I've been doing it for 5 years. You guys have been doing it for like 6 or 7.
7 years, somehow, 7.
So I cut Kyle off without asking him because I'm a rude host on what his take on his own question was. So my apologies, man. I was just thinking about the transition, but we're talking about wide receivers, and it is the off season. And I give Kyle and Adam credit because I rarely do anything of value on the show besides sit here and run my mouth. So the main topic this week, brought to you by Adam Carlson and Kyle West here, we're going to break down the Vikings wide receiver core in a nice little transition from what we were just talking about. I'd have to look back at last year and see how many wide receivers they kept. On average, it's usually about 6, right?
Yeah, although this year, with the tight end situation and the talent at that position, I am expecting the Vikings to keep less receivers than what they have traditionally.
Okay.
I'm thinking I want, and I this is early. This is early to be doing 53-man like roster predictions, but I'm gonna say 5. I think they keep 5 this year.
Okay. So you're thinking with the addition of Smith and the tight end group, we'll keep the other 3. That might take away from one of the wide receiver spots.
Andrew
Not out
Leota.
of a possibility at all.
This is an awesome comment. Andrew Leota in the chat says, "When you guys are 42, let me know if you want to get hit like those guys do." Sir, I am 32, and I don't want to get hit like a professional football player. So
Who said this in the chat?
That's Andrew Leota.
Andrew, I moan when I have to bend over and pick up change. Do you think I want to go out there and get hit? Now, I don't know if you guys like stand-up comedy and Netflix, but there's a Joe Rogan reference, and it's a really fucked up and disgusting joke. But if you watch his new one, Strange Times, it'll tie into this. If you offer me a solid contract, I'll go out and get hit by anybody you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like money, so if you can make this happen, I'll go be a fucking punching bag. I'll be like Johnny Knoxville in that one Jackass movie where Jared Allen just planted him in the fucking ground.
Right.
But let's talk about the Vikings wide receiver core real quick. So let's go down the depth chart for what I have at the current moment. And there's a terrible thing to read. Second in the NFC North at 8-7-1. Ugh. God, that was awful last year. So at the wide receiver position, we have Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Laquan Treadwell, Chad Beebe, Brandon Zylstra, Jeff Bidet, Dylan Mitchell, Olabisi Johnson. Now, that was from last year. Let's go to the 2019 one and see if I missed anyone.
I'm on the roster right now.
Jordan Taylor,
Jordan Taylor.
Davian Davis, maybe?
Yep. Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, I don't know if he was on there from last year.
You said Jordan Taylor, correct?
Yeah, I just put him in there. So that, God, I'm on ourlads.com, NFL depth charts, and it's got us on there. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if I'm reading that right. Okay, obviously 11 wide receivers aren't going to be on the team. So.
Yeah, 11 is what I got, and I'm on the Vikings website.
I'm going to round it and say that we keep 6.
Ooh.
Just a spitball here. I'm hearing good stuff in the Twitter world and ESPN. It's really not that hard to find the same info that I am about to say, but if you want to go digging. I'm hearing good stuff about Jordan Taylor, the kid we picked up from the Broncos. Chad Beebe has been the highlight so far of minicamp and kind of a standout. So I'm going with Thielen and Diggs, Treadwell, Beebe, Jordan Taylor. I'm just going to go with a shot in the dark for this last spot because it's really like just being blindfolded and throwing it. But I'm going to say either Dylan Mitchell or Brandon Zylstra. It's going to round out if we have to keep 6. Now, we may go to 5 like Kyle had mentioned, but I think for sure this is the last year we'll have Treadwell around. I don't want him on the team as much as anyone else does. I want to give him a fair shot. But for money, we're not just going to let the kid walk and get paid to do nothing. Maybe he comes out and has a decent year, but those are my picks, man. I don't know how many of these guys we can scoop up on the practice squad, but I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about Jordan Taylor and even better stuff about Chad Beebe. So I expect both of them to make the starting lineup.
Yeah, Jordan Taylor was a name that surprised me because he's not one that I had heard of prior to him signing with Minnesota. And he's had he's coming into, I think, his 4th year in the league.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see what different coaching and a different system can potentially do for a player. Uh, I like what I've heard about him. Now, this would not be the first time that really early on in the offseason you hear good things about a player. And then as soon as you get to training camp, where you've got full pads on and you're doing full practice, like sometimes that can go away. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. We don't know. There's still a long time to go. But we wish the best for Jordan Taylor. Chad Beebe is a name that I think every Vikings fan is excited to hear about. I think we're all fans of his. We
Yep.
all want to see Chad Beebe make this roster, don't we? I think we all do. I know I do.
Yeah, because we want that same kind of feeling we got from Thielen a couple of years ago, and we hope
Yeah.
that's what it turns into. And I'm here for it. I really am. Didn't his dad play as well? It's the same guy I'm thinking
Yes,
of.
he sure did.
So
Yep.
that's another cool story. And
I want to say Buffalo.
yeah, so it's in his family. I'm just really excited for the kid. And I mean, we already have one guy on the team that shows you if you work hard and just get really, really good at what you do, it doesn't matter where you get signed and how you come into the team. Just fight for your spot. So yeah, I expect to see stuff from him as well. With Cordero Patterson leaving a couple of years ago, our kick return game has been next to nothing. Punt return game has been all right with Cheryl's. Our kick return game has not been shit. So,
Of course, Cheryl's he's gone now too. So
yeah,
that also does leave, to
I
your
don't. I
point.
don't think Amir Abdullah is going to be the long term solution there if he even makes the roster this year. So we're going to have those spots open too. So look for those guys, one of, if not two of those guys we mentioned, to do that. Not named Thielen and Diggs. They are not returning kicks and punts. It's not going to fucking happen. But
Yeah, no, absolutely.
speedy little wide receiver that needs to add a little bit of an edge. Why not? You know.
And special teams are going to be the deciding factor when you get down into whether or not you keep 5 wide receivers or 6 wide receivers.
Oh,
You find
100%.
you you find that guy and you look at guys like Brandon Zylstra, Chad Beebe, or Jeff Bidet as being your like what can they Jordan Taylor as well. What can they do out there on special teams? It's the like you said, it's the Adam Thielen route to making the roster. If you can make a name for yourself on special teams, that's what gets you on the 53-man roster in the first place. And then once you're on the 53-man roster, I mean, I feel like that's half the battle. All you got to do is just prove your worth to to the team, and like when you get your opportunities out there on the field uh, as a relief player, like you show that you can do that, and then it's like, hey, it's like Thielen. You would just work your way up from that point. So it's a tough route, but it's definitely a route that a player can take to make an impact on this team. I think I mentioned it on a previous podcast. If I'm one of these young guys, if I'm Jordan Taylor, if I'm Chad Beebe, if I'm Laquan Treadwell, man, I want that open third receiver position behind Thielen and Diggs because that's a money position. Whether it's with the Vikings or in free agency, that's a position, man, where you're going to have your opportunities to be open on the field. And if you can make a name for yourself, if you can look like the next hot receiver, we know what the Vikings salary cap is. It's difficult moving forward. Make a name for yourself, and you can flip that into some money in free agency. If I'm one of these guys that we just mentioned, I'm working my ass off to be that third wide receiver for the Vikings right now.
Here's the other part to that too. To what you said earlier, 2 points. It might be deciding factor for special teams whether we keep 6 wide receivers or 5. It might be the difference between an extra running back making the team versus an extra wide receiver making the team.
Or
Could be
tight
one
end.
of those. You can't just count out the wide receivers too, which I know you didn't, but that could affect some of the other groups in the room. To what you just said now, oh man, I'm losing my train of thought for your point that you just made because I really wanted to jump that one in there too. Um,
About how that.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. So
Yeah.
thinking about, Thielen and Diggs are going to catch most of the passes on the team regardless. But when you start studying, these guys have had to have studied film last year. Maybe they did the year before too because it was a great year for us, blah, blah, blah. There are 2 guys in the number 3 receiver spot that went on to find the same team eventually, but they're going to keep their career going. Whether I know everybody wants to come in the league and be Antonio Brown and make $100 million, but a lot of these guys just want longevity enough to play for 8-9 years, be healthy, and make a shitload of money so they can just relax the rest of their life, right? Look at Jarius Wright, man. He was on that 2012 Vikings team with Adrian Peterson. It's 2019. He's on his second team. He's with the Panthers. He's staying there. Aldrick Robinson filled his spot last year at the wide receiver 3 spot. He went to the Panthers too. And might I add, he worked his ass off for us last year as a rental. And he caught like 5 touchdowns, and some of them were fucking clutch. So,
Right.
to your point, yes, absolutely, man. I want that third spot because it might solidify your spot here behind 2 badasses, or it could be your next step to go and get paid somewhere else and get a decent check. I mean, who knows? It's a very, very solid point by you. And there's prime examples of the guys who were in that wide receiver 3 spot from the last 2 consecutive seasons. They've went on and they've done some cool stuff. They're catching passes from Cam Newton now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If one of these players that's on a 1-year prove-it contract at wide receiver or whatever absolutely balls out for the Vikings and has an amazing season, there is no way financially we can sign another receiver to a long-term contract. We just can't. It's just not going to happen.
Well, this was on the Viking Age because I'm going to promote the shit out of that website until Adam doesn't work there anymore.
And then fuck him.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck them. I'm going to wear my Taco Bell shirt until they sponsor us after that. Never talk about the Vikings.
Right.
But, yeah, next season we're going to watch at least 2 of some of our heart-to-heart favorite players walk out of here, whether it's Barr, whether it's Joseph, Rose,
probably Everson.
It's going to be somebody big. Rudy. It's at least 2 of them are out of here because we're going to have to make room. But that's not our fucking problem this year, so we don't have to worry about that for this season. But yeah, you're right. We're not going to be able to pay if there's another kick-ass baller wide receiver. We're not going to be able to pay him unless 2 or 3 big names that we've liked for a while leave, which I don't want to think about because it's gonna suck. But it is what it is. Man, I just noticed I'm looking in your background. That's a Friday the 13th mask there. Right underneath your TV. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, beneath my TV down there. Yeah.
That's dope,
I got all kinds of stupid shit tucked away back there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to exit out of the depth chart, and I think that's
I think that'll pretty much covers that topic for us.
I do have something I'd like to promote before we wrap the show up here, and it's going to
go for it.
Going to help you out. I'm going to turn the brightness up just a little bit on my phone, and I'm going to put my order in for one of these here soon. So we at the Purple People Podcast, we've upgraded over the years, and for you guys that have been with us for multiple seasons, even if you go way back, there might be 1 or 2 of you that have stuck around for 4 or 5 years. We used to do this on Skype audio, pre-record it, then upload it, kind of like musicians do. They build a song, they record it, they master it, and then they put it out. We used to do that every week.
That sucked.
Crazy. Yeah, it sucked a lot because we couldn't interact with anyone, which was terrible. Now we can interact with you live in real time and bring you in like we did people in the chat tonight. I pinned this to the top of the Purple People Podcast Facebook page. I will put the link out on our Instagram, which I have not updated in months because I'm a terrible piece of shit as far as the admin goes on that side. Maybe we can put it on Twitter as well, but we officially have Purple People Podcast t-shirts, and I'll try to air that just a little bit at an angle. They look like that. They come in like 20 different colors, and they're really cool. They start at $20 before shipping, so average cost of a shirt. I'm going to buy one, and I'm going to get it in bright-ass banana yellow because it's obnoxious and I need it. But I pinned it to the top of our Facebook page. We're not going to fucking shove this down your throat, but if you wanted some gear and you want to support the show, that's what they look like to start. And, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. This is a Kyle West project, so I'll let him talk more about it, but go check it out.
Yeah, sure. That's actually up on my photography website. And we do more than just like photography prints. You can order stuff on everything from t-shirts to throw pillows to I just sold a what did they buy? It was on a beach towel So like you can get all kinds of random stuff on here with my work on it. Whether it be Purple People podcast logos, which I'm going to be adding, I think different designs now that I know how to do them. I'm going to do some different designs and stuff now that I figured out that like I can get it without having like a stupid like boxy look around it. So
Okay.
we can get like actual T-shirts and stuff now too. Otherwise, I got all kinds of photography prints up there that are available online. I got some Viking stuff, some photos at US Bank Stadium that are pretty cool, some player photos, as well as all my other photography stuff. So yeah, check that out. It's phantasmdigital.com. It's the name of my website, like you said, but you can check us out over on the Purple People podcast, like the Facebook page. You can see a link to it. I think you said you pinned it to the top or something like that. So
Yeah,
you can check
at the top of our Facebook page and our post. Just scroll down. The first post that you should see should be that one. It's got the link up.
Yep. So there you go. You can check out some T-shirts and some other cool stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. We shouted out some hoodies today. We shouted out our little merch thing we got going on that you're going with. We talked about Christian Ponder way too long. It's been a good show.
Yeah.
And we referenced Britney Spears in there. I'm sure Adam hates us right now. So it's a good show. It's kind of what we do, though.
You betcha.
Yeah, when we run this, it just goes crazy and into the ground really fast. So thanks for coming along for the crazy ride.
I keep saying it, but man, I can't wait for like tangible football to get here.
Oh, I know, man. I can't wait. I looked at our schedule today and it just made me cry. But I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm just ready for it to be back.
Yeah. I'm definitely itching for some Vikings football. Even preseason game 1 sounds amazing right now, don't it?
I tuned in last year because it was Kirk and he was going to play, and I think it was against the Broncos. He just marched down the damn field and scored a touchdown. I was like, we're going to the Super Bowl. Fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got, man. If you got nothing else, then appreciate everybody in the chat. Check out those shirts we were talking about from the show if you want. Tell your friends about us. Share us on your social media if you like. Get the numbers up there. Also, before I let you go, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment or something. Tell us what you liked. If you didn't like us, just be nice. Tell us how we can fix stuff and give us some ideas. If there's something that you want to see on the show or hear that we haven't done yet and you think would be cool, I mean, we get people in the chat and we interact with them in real time. So we would absolutely take one of your ideas and talk about them or put them to use. So help us help you. Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, stay classy, Minnesota.